Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. Why the Obama administration is losing the war on terror. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. Last night, the president addressed the nation, but did not change his strategy in the war on terror at all. Mr. Obama finally admitted, though, that ISIS is a major threat, but then he fell back on his belief we're actually defeating the terrorists. As Talking Points has said before, Mr. Obama may be delusional. The simple truth is the president does not want to fight, and he does not want to bring the fight to the savages.
Be drawn once more into a long and costly ground war in Iraq or Syria. That's what groups like ISIL want. They know they can't defeat us on the battlefield. ISIL fighters were part of the insurgency that we faced in Iraq. But they also know that if we occupy foreign lands, they can maintain insurgencies for years.
Now, no serious analyst wants to occupy Muslim countries. That's not a smart strategy. But quick strikes on the ground and safe zones can be established. Mr. Obama should be sophisticated enough to know that. But here's the real deal. The USA is losing the terror war because the President of the United States will not fight it effectively. Once the SEALs killed bin Laden, Mr. Obama packed it in, with the exception of an occasional drone strike. Don't believe we're losing? Consider this. We need security at airports that costs billions of dollars and adds hours to everybody's travel. All large public celebrations in this country must be guarded by a massive police presence. Our intelligence agencies spend billions monitoring dangerous jihadists all over the world. Every single American has been affected. The national debt is skyrocketing. Our personal security in doubt. Just ask the good people of San Bernardino. In the face of all that, what has the Obama administration really done? Retreated. That's what they've done. Don't believe me again? Just ask the former CIA chief and defense secretary Leon Panetta. That stalwart Democrat served Mr. Obama for 4 years. He'll give you an earful, and he's not alone. Let's look at the facts. Mr. Obama pulled all U.S. troops out of Iraq, thereby allowing the Shia government in Baghdad to marginalize the minority Sunni population in that country. Angered, the Sunnis allowed ISIS sanctuaries where they gathered strength, much like al-Qaeda did in Afghanistan before the 9/11 attack. Mr. Obama then ignored the growing threat, even as ISIS began controlling thousands of square miles of territory. Even though the president knew all that, he still told the world the savages were the junior varsity. Finally, the president announced a 65-nation coalition to fight ISIS. But few nations showed up. The Phantom Coalition was a PR stunt, a ruse. Then the president ordered bombing, but placed so many restrictions on the action, it didn't drastically affect ISIS at all. Also, Mr. Obama refused to send modern weapons to the Kurds, who are fighting for their own lives against ISIS. Just recently, that has changed. But the president did spend $500 million arming and training pro-American Syrian rebels. The result, 4 or 5 battle-ready individuals, 4 or 5 for $500 million. When asked about that, Mr. Obama said, well, I never really liked the program in the first place. Even after the terror attacks in Paris and California, the president refuses to bring NATO into the fight, will not crush the ISIS command and control center in Raqqa, Syria, and will not even admit the USA is at war with Islamic terrorism. Time to do that, Mr. President. Also, time to be honest with the American people. We are not containing the jihad, and the world is a much more dangerous place since you, Mr. President, took office. Somebody alert the media. And that's the memo. Now for the top story tonight, reaction. Joining us from Washington, Charles Krauthammer. Before we get to our discussion, you have some breaking news here. $28,500 was apparently deposited in Saeed Farouk's bank account shortly before he and his wife massacred the 14 people and wounded 21 in San Bernardino. We do not know who deposited the money in the bank, all right, but I trust the authorities will find out. So this is far more than 2 cranks in an apartment house in California. So where am I going wrong on my talking points?
No, I thought your talking points were right. And on this issue of the $28,000, I found it very odd that the FBI director said a couple of days ago, and then Obama repeated last night, that there is no evidence that there was some kind of larger conspiracy or outside or a network from the outside. Well, how did they get the money? This guy is a civil servant.
Yeah.
He didn't have the money for the vest. He didn't have the money for the assault weapons. They obviously had help, and now we learn that there are some, at least Fox is reporting, that he had some contacts, electronic contacts with people from outside the country. Of course they had help. Whether it was an organized conspiracy with instructions written out is a different question. But at every turn, every single turn, this administration tries to downplay every single attack. You get the Fort Hood attack, workplace violence. You get the underwear bomber. Obama's immediate response, isolated extremist. It wasn't an isolated extremist. It was actually an action coming out of Yemen. Every time he is confronted, and even until a couple of days ago, Obama was entertaining the idea that somehow the San Bernardino attack was also workplace violence. Absurd on its face. Obama does not want to face the fact that we have a global war on terror, and he has not since the day he took office when he abolished the term.
Now, there are millions of people who believe, many of them watching tonight, that the president does all this consciously, that he wants to weaken the United States, doesn't like the country, believes we brought a lot of this jihad upon ourselves by our exploitative past history. Do you believe that?
When Obama did his apology tour, when he came into office, he went around the world sort of confessing America's sins. He spoke about all the things that we have done to the world. He called for a new arrangement with Muslims where we show them respect as if we had not showed them respect, trying to rescue them in Somalia, rescuing Kuwait, trying to liberate Iraq, trying to liberate Afghanistan, liberating the Balkans, the Muslims in the Balkans. So he carries this idea, sort of this, college undergrad idea of America as a kind of imperialist power, and he was going to be a new kind of American leader who would first confess our sins, try to redress them, and he has this underlying idea, which is part of this anti-imperialist mindset, that we are the cause of a lot of the blowback, that we are the ones, what does he say, Guantanamo is a recruiting agent, that if you speak ill or you in any way are not towing the line on what Islam is and you dare say radical Islam, that's a recruiting element to bring in more terrorists. Whereas, in fact, whatever we do, it makes no difference whatsoever. The terrorism began long before Iraq, long before Abu Ghraib, long before Guantanamo. It began in the mid-90s when the only thing that we were doing were rescuing Muslims.
Yeah, I mean, look at Afghanistan and what we supplied to the Mujahideen to get them out of there. But look, there are two schools of thought. There's my school, which says Mr. Obama is incompetent. He's James Buchanan. We mentioned that president before, who botched everything and then the Civil War broke out. He's incompetent, can't do the job. But then there are the people who believe he's doing it all on purpose. He wants to run the country down. So where do you stand on that?
No, I think those are, that's like the Obama false choices. There is a third choice. He's not trying to destroy America, and this is not incompetence. This is a guy who believes that we overreached, overstretched after 9/11. He said that in one of his UN speeches at the beginning of his term, so that we are provoking this. He is a man who thinks that the idea of radical Islam is not an existential threat, it is a strategic nuisance to the United States. Yes, it'll kill a few people. But that's incompetency,
Charles. I've got to challenge you on this.
That's an ideological view of the world.
Okay, but look, if you're a football coach and you want to bring in the single wing and you don't gain a yard and you lose every game of the season, you're incompetent, all right, even though your philosophy is what you believe in. He has to know he's losing, has to know that this thing's out of control. Won't admit it. And I believe he's just absolutely an incompetent president and will go on in history, down in history as such.
What I'm trying to explain is that he does not see this as a world historical struggle.
But that's incompetent.
No, it's not. It's an ideological view that the real threats are Russia, China, the great powers, and perhaps Iran, but that terrorism is a minor issue that we have overblown as a result of 9/11 and caused the blowback. But that's where he's getting it wrong.